Well, good afternoon, my YouTube friends. It's Margaret here from M.E.s Orchids, and I just thought I'd bring you into the grow room to just explain how I water these vandaceous types. And these are the ones that I see. I have them in these outer pots with just some styrofoam at the bottom, and if you look underneath, that's how these are these pots that I was explaining to you, and occasionally a root will come through there, but the majority of the roots are on this outer part, and this is what I do to water them. Now you can see this is vandaceous lucernare, and you'll see the name there. There we go. And this is growing lovely now. I can't believe since changing it over to this type of growing method. So I put that there. Now let's have a look at the next one. And this is Baby Angel. And again you'll see. Can you see in there? I think there's a root there, and put that in. I usually do 3 at a time. Now this one here, let's show you the name. That's that one. And you'll see here I've got an inner side pot, but I'd only got one spare one. So you see that's the inside of the pot. Can you see how the air gets all the way through? And so this one just goes in there because I managed to put some extra sphagnum moss, and it's got all those air holes. And eventually, if I manage to find some of these little tiny pots, I mean I have got 2 others, but I've used them for the Dendrobium berryoides. But these are very useful for this type of method. And so all I do is separate them out like this. I do them one at a time because otherwise I'm inclined to spray on their the crowns, and you don't want that. Occasionally you'll get the odd piece and I just throw it back inside. So now if you can hear, so I'm usually doing these now about every 2 to 3 days, and so this is got a fertiliser in. It's also I'm not quite sure, I can't remember because I didn't write this one down, whether it had got an NPK in as well. You see how easy it is to do it. I just make sure that this part here, the top part, and then I can go inside, and that root has already greened up. So that's one done, and usually very quickly I put them back in the outer pot as such, and then they just go back up here on the shelf. I do them individually this way because they're so light. I mean, even this one I'm doing now, which is Baby Angel, this one's even got some hydrogen balls at the bottom of the container, just to give it a little bit of weight. Now I'll show you what happens sometimes. Can you see? See this little part of the pot? That's the part that I haven't actually secured with fishing line. And if there's any moss that comes away like that. You see there's a little gap there. I mean, I don't have to worry, it'll just push the label in. Sometimes it comes out and we just tuck it back in down there. There we go, you see. And this is the other one. This is the one with the little pot in. So again, this is shoot and know. It's very, very easy to do. I'm not going to do them all. I'm just going to give you an idea. Now this one, can you see that root there? This one here. So I actually do make sure that gets sprayed. And then they just go back on the shelf. And there we go. I'll spray in here. Put this little plastic pot in, just to keep that other sphagnum moss intact. And there. That's as simple as that. Now the only problem well, it's not a problem, but these are the bigger ones. I lift this one down. See this big one here? This is Vandaceous Irene. Now this big one, you see, I've had to secure in because these were the ones that didn't just quite stay firm. And so what I have to do with this one, so I can't see underneath, but can you see how dry it is? I do treat it exactly the same. And what I'll do with this one, it's just, you can hear it going through the middle and it comes out of the bottom of the pot. And what I do with these is just make sure they've got a good watering. See this one, whether you'll see there, it's got a root just coming out there. Let me take it round here. So if there's any outer roots, I water those. I've just turned the fans off. In actual fact, it's a lovely warm day. Well, in the grow room it's a warm day. It's 23.1, 59% humidity. And if we look at that now, you see. See, can you see the roots there? They're hydrated. And if there's any excess water, which sometimes there is, and you see, that just goes in there. And then what I'll do then, I'll just place this one back up here on the shelf. And then I've just got two more to do. So what I do with the spare water, I mean I won't do that now because I'm showing you what I'm doing. So this one here is Vanda Peaches Falcata by Curvifolia. And look at this, how this has grown since I've put it in here. And this is the one that's got the roots there. And it's got the root there. I mean, it's so easy just to water them now. Sometimes I hang them on the shelf because there's a plate underneath them. What I don't actually do, because they've got sphagnum moss in them, what I don't actually do is completely drench them. I water them and I'll come to this end here and I'll water the roots, and sometimes I'll just go through that area where the roots are, And you see where that's a root that's probably going to just wither and die back. But there we go, you see. And this normally hangs over here. So what I do, see these little outer pots that I've got, and what I do then is I just sit them in a little outer pot just for a short while to let that water run through. And I'll put that down here on the floor. And here's another one. And this is Vanda curvifolia. Now, if you remember, this is, I've got, no I've not, I'll show you in a minute. This is the one, the curvifolia, that I've got the big mother plant. I had this one here. Let me see how big it is. Look how big it is. This was the second one, and the third one, unfortunately, it died. But what I've done with this one, I've had some of them in the semi-hydro, and I've come to the conclusion that especially for these vandaceous types, I've got to be very, very careful because of their requirements with the roots. I don't want them to, excuse me, I'm just, that's it. So I've put them back into these open type baskets. Very loosely. Very, very loosely. So in actual fact, they're not being overwatered. And you see how loose, nice and loose. And they just sit over here where the phragmopediums are. They hang there, and they're absolutely fine that way. Absolutely fine. In fact, I can show you in a minute. This one's not too bad but I'll just stand it down here on a plate just in case there's any residual water runoff. Okay, now let me just show you this one. This is my Vanda Kokedama Gold by Dr. Anek. Now, what I might have to do with this one is move the water underneath out of the way. And what I wanted to show you was the damage. Can you see the damage there? And you see all this damage all here. And that was when it was in the windowsill. And again, I'd put this in semi-hydro. And when I come to check the roots, if I lift you up now, and then I'll show you. I just have to be a little bit careful with this one because it's the way I've got it clipped into this pot. I mean, it will be watered in a minute or two, but I'm going to water this off camera. So if I lift the camera up now, and then just bear with me a minute, because I've had this wedged into the shelf. Okay. Sorry about this. Right. Here we go. If I move my watering device out of the way so that I don't knock anything over, because that's what we don't want to do. There we go. And can you see the roots? Alright, so I've got them just sat on polystyrene, and I think I've got 4 roots down there, and as you can see, or here, it is quite dry now, and this is quite easy to water because this goes into that container also, and I've got the moss nice and fluffy, so it gets watered and then it's allowed to dry very quickly. But there you see we've got that nice growing tip. And when I've checked all the vandaceous types that were in this semi-hydro, and not one of them was showing any new root growth at all. Well, we're coming into our growing season now, and I couldn't run the risk of them not producing any roots. I need these to come on and grow roots. And if we go onto the shelf here, can you see now how the sun's coming in? I've actually got this scarf across the window because it's so hot. This big one here, I do have it in the window next to the Sedaria japonica, but because it's so hot now, I've even had to lift this down, and it goes on this shelf the other side of the room. But there you see, there's the curvifolia, and what I do, especially these on the window, I check to see how warm the leaves are. But again, you see, this is now in this open tight basket, and because I've got this one with a little paper towel at the bottom, and inside that paper towel I think this one might have some bark. That one's not completely bone dry, but it's getting that nice ray of sunshine. And here, this one here, I decided in the end, this is that Tian Mu, and it got those new roots which hadn't actually gone straight down into the media. They were there to go down, and I thought, well, this is going to be the last opportunity to actually get them into this type of basket. And what I've done again, you see, I've got this base, which is a paper towel. I've got large bark inside, and I've got fluffy sphagnum moss. So the first thing that these roots will hit is that fluffy sphagnum moss, and I've got 2 or 3 new growths coming on here. So I'm quite happy now the way that I'm growing this one here. And if I bring you over here with the other 2 vandas, and this one here, let's see what this one's called. This is Vanda Adisac Happiness. Now this is the only one which had got that green growing tip. The rest of the roots in here didn't have any green growing tips, but look, since I've put it here, and I've only done this 2 or 3 days ago, look, we've got another green growing tip. I think this one had only got the 3 roots. So by just changing it over, that's what I say before, if you listen to your orchids, they'll tell you. And by just changing it over now and putting fluffy sphagnum moss, but you see it's not wet. This one is just moist underneath, and I think I've got at the bottom of this terracotta pot some styrofoam peanuts, you see. So in actual fact, let me turn it round. Let me turn this round. There. I could get away today with not watering this. Can you see? Right down there. So they've got plenty of room in which to grow. You see, there's the inside of the pot. And this sphagnum moss, I've put it very lightly. And you see we've got this new leaf here, this one I'm showing you now. Now this one hasn't flowered yet. That one goes here on this front shelf, and this is where the other one sits. So let's bring this one down. And you'll see that I've got them wedged in with these, I think these are when you go camping, for putting in the ground to hold things secure. Now this one's Kokedama Gold by Robert's Delight, number 11. I don't know what the number 11 means. And again, you see we've got this nice growing leaf here, and we've got lots of roots down there. So if I just turn it round. Now this one in waterculture had got this little green growing tip here. Now that's not been activated yet, and we've got all these other roots down there. And again, you see that sphagnum moss isn't crispy, so these two could actually go another day, but I'll probably water them. Now you won't see there, but the tip of the root there is starting to be activated, and so I had to make the decision, not for my holidays, but simply the fact that I need these orchids to grow, especially these vandaceous types, and I can't afford to not have the root growth. I need that root growth. And this one goes back on the shelf here as well. There we go, you see. This is where they go. And the big one, as I say, sits there in this area. And but because the sun is so strong, I'm having to bring it, and I'll show you where I normally just hang this, and you see there, there's a ridge there, and the way it is, it can just hang there. And likewise these two, this one here, excuse me a minute while I just lift it up, and I put a little peg on it, you see, a little peg on it, and that's where Vanda curvifolia sits. Got a new leaf there, that's where Vanda curvifolia sits. And with the other one, which I bring across, and that one sits there. And these get the morning sun, because if you think about it, where that cloth is now in the window, the early morning sun catches them all here. And if I just lift this one down, just to show you the blooms, if nothing else. And of course, this might not be very good because you're getting the light from the window, but this is the lovely Sidera japonica. Is that going to focus now? And this has been in bloom quite a while now, and the fragrance has developed. It's a lovely fragrance. I wasn't too sure at first, but it's progressed, and it actually smells beautifully now. Beautifully. That got watered and fed yesterday. And I'll just take you round and just give you an idea of where some of these sit now. There we go. That there is the big dendrobium Gatton Sunray, that one in that corner there, and that's got two new growths. And this maxillaria, or Cameridian praestans, that's actually got, well, you can see there, if I can just go through, you can see where we've got new growths. So already that's enjoying that area. and has started to send out new growth. Again, you see, this is where the afternoon sun comes through, and that's the Cattleya, and this is the big Sologeny Berfadiense, and these are the Masdevallias that got watered and fed yesterday. They seem to be perking up now, and that's the Holcoglossum subdiflorum, and these are the Hoyas. Well, I've just had my brother visit, and normally I would have watered the Hoyas this morning, but my brother visited, so I'm a little bit late coming up into the grow room. Now this is what I've done with the Dendrobium berryoda. See the little tiny pot, and that's got I'm not sure whether that's got a little bit of bark in. But this one here, if I bring this one out as well and show you, they're a bit awkward to get out, but you see what I've done is I've put them in much smaller pots, and then they go into these outer pots. So and those are the other ones, the ones that I've got in the open pots, and I've just sat them in these outer pots, and then when I water them, you see we've got green roots there. The water runs through, and it actually stays in the bottom of these pots just for a day or two, and if the weather's changing and it's too cold, then I'll empty the water out. And again, likewise, you see, this is where the Phalaenopsis, all the Phalaenopsis ones are. I had them in the green pots, didn't I? But I moved the green pots and I put them in glass pots. And I think there's only this one here, which is the Tetraspis purple, that hasn't got a wick in. You'll see all the others have got wicks. And you see that one? Looks as though that flower there, that bud, will open in the next couple of days. And likewise, you see, with some of the this is Dendrobium famosum Myanmar, and this has dropped all its leaves. But what I've done is I've put it in a much smaller pot with tight sphagnum moss, and I've done the same with the Dawn Marie, and that's Rung Camel. Of course, that's the wonderful Cattleya walkeriana. And the Hoya has come to the other side of the window, and this is the nice Cattleya Cattleya. Let's see if I can find the label. Barmansville Palm, I think it's called. But that's got nice green growing tips, and there's a new growth on that one. And if I take you across here, I'm going to have to finish now because we're virtually out of time. But everything else is looking fine. And I like to finish on a bloom. So from me to you, take care, enjoy your Sunday.